if I wished that I would have lived this life and I just have joyful and pleasant moments. No regret, no sorrow, no fear, nothing of that. The reality is not like that. The reality is that every human being at some point is facing all of this. But I used to think I would never arrive or be at the place where I am right now without all the things that happened in the past. Because at some point, the sorrow or even the regrets, they have been so painful in a way that I was left only with two choices. Number one, you learned from what went wrong. And number two is a very hard part. It's the part of learning to let go by forgiving two areas. In case somebody is involved, you forgive the one that is involved, but foremost, you forgive this one. We always think about how should we forgive like other people, which is already very hard, but it's even harder to sometimes forgive yourself. But you can't move into the future. You cannot move on if you still carry old baggage inside of you. And this is where I feel like it must be learned. Maybe people take it as normal to live a life and keep regret and keep frustration and keep all these things inside of them and not heal it, not let it out, not express it, not learn a way to get rid of it. Yeah, but at the same time, I also believe this is the reason why people suffer from so many different types of diseases at the same time. Because there is some type of, I call it now in my terminology, there is energy locked inside of you that wants to be expressed. Yeah, but you suppress it. And this is why it has to find a way to make itself heard, which can be a sickness, which can be cancer, which can be all type of mental diseases that nowadays I think this society has a lot of it. That is the letting go part. Progress, meaning setting goals, achieving something, doing something. The quickest way to not waste lifetime is when you really set up a schedule and just do the work. Free from how you feel. Because also feeling sometimes, you wake up one day, you feel this way, you wake up the next day, you feel another way. And it's just not helpful to base your structure or your goal on how you feel. Discipline, meaning you stick to what you put there on paper. You take your time, you make the plan, and unless you really are sick or have some type of higher excuse, you just do what you have committed to. And this struggling of, there are still so many distractions every day coming up. No, but you stick to the plan. You stick to your plan. This is what I feel like is a part of discipline, to do what you have committed yourself to. It's the one area. And at the same time, discipline also meaning you don't do the things you already know are not good for you. Discipline is not just about the active part of doing something. It also relates to the passive part of leaving the things out of your life where you already know it's not going to help you. Both of these areas is, let's say, discipline. Focus for me is the ability to mobilize your energy. Energy maybe doesn't tell anything to the people. Your intention, your mind, your awareness. Let's say I need to do some type of work. I need to write an email. Simple. The quickest way, most accurate way to write this email is if you are completely with your awareness, you are focused in writing this email right now. You don't look at the mobile phone at the same time. You don't listen to music. You don't watch another television show on the screen. You don't eat something at the same time. Your focus is on that one task. Because your focus is on that one task, this is why everything that you are made out of can flow into whatever you are creating there. You don't do like the bench press and do something for the legs at the same time. It doesn't make sense. To mobilize energy means to know exactly where am I focusing my attention, and therefore where attention goes, there the energy flows. This is what focus means for me. If you want to create something, it's better to know where does your attention go. It's not that you are like walking this path and then you are like becoming superhuman or anything like this. It is very, very simple. You just become less compulsive and less reactive to whatever is going on in this world. Because this is where I felt like at some point, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be driven by what is going on out there in the world. I don't want to be driven by what is happening out there where I feel like I have no influence on. It can be the decision of the governments. It can be the decision of whatever is being propagated in this world, which is ultimately affecting me. And I just didn't feel like I want to be dependent on external circumstances. Because this just doesn't feel like my life is in my hands. How can it be that people around me, circumstances around me, that I literally have really no influence on? How can it be that all of this is influencing my life to such an extent that it makes me suffer, that it is frustrating me, that I feel depressed about it, that I feel angry about it, that I feel sad about it? At some point, I just felt like it's very unstable. And so I started to ask myself, how come that I cannot manage myself in a better way? And this is where now all this so-called inner work starts to take place, where the self-mastery takes place. You are not trying to solve the issues of your government. You are not trying to solve the problems of your neighbor. The first thing you try to solve is everything that is able to trigger you to not be at ease with how this life is. What is the ultimate outcome of starting to invest some time in yourself? I would say you are getting more at ease regardless of what is happening on the outside. It doesn't mean you are becoming more ignorant to it. That is also a misconception. It is just the fact that the world around you, everything is like still in turmoil and everything is still burning. But because you are at ease, because you have become more stable, at least in this burning surrounding, you can now still be the guide to help the people out of the house. Because if you lose your temper and if you are getting stressed when the house is burning, who's going to guide the way? And this is how I felt my life was also slowly developing, in the sense that if I really feel like I would like to contribute something to this world, to this society, then it can only be done if I'm already at ease and with peace inside of myself, that then I can carry out in the world. Mostly, I just try to encourage people, do something with your body. Just do something with your body. Whether it's Qigong, whether it's some stretching exercises, whether it's Kung Fu, whether it's Tai Chi. So it was something physical in the first place. But the whole idea was not only to make the people move. This was just like the beginning. But what we need is awareness. What we need is awareness. If you're already not aware of this body, it becomes even more difficult to be aware of what goes on in your mind. What type of traumas do you carry inside of you? if you're not even aware of your own body, something physical, something that you have every day in front of the mirror, how can you become aware of something that is so deeply rooted inside of you that you just can't even see it so easily? So the whole idea of emphasizing physicality, I would say, is the first step to begin the path of becoming aware. With this awareness now, the journey hasn't ended. The journey has just begun. Because it's this awareness now that we need to use and actually start now looking inside ourselves. Yeah. But exactly in the areas that for many, many years maybe were hidden there, consciously hidden, or sometimes unconsciously hidden, areas that we ran away from, that we hide it, that we somehow started to cover up because in the past they caused us too much pain, too much irritation. But I do think that at the same time that there is no other way to really clean yourself up than really looking at all the stuff that's hidden inside of you. I didn't want to say shit, but sometimes there's a lot of it. Yeah, and how do I know? Because I had to do it myself. So it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to, at some point, start to realize what type of stuff, dark stuff, negative stuff have you yourself, me, myself, done in this lifetime. But only after you really see it and you recognize that it was wrong. After you repent, then comes the freedom. I think that there are many ways how you can, let's say, motivate yourself to walk this path. So why would I face the dark side of myself knowing already that it's going to be painful? Why would I do that? So there are many ways. Me, from the area of the martial arts, I just know every time I suffered in the training, afterwards, something really good came out of it. Same is like every time you face a challenge that was really, really difficult for you, but you still pushed it through somehow. You still were patient and persevered and were consistent and still tried. And this type of challenge for me was a way bigger victory than anything that was easily attained. So literally saying nothing sustainable and worthwhile in this lifetime comes from something that's easily attained. It's the same that you find plenty of videos right now. Face your shadow, face the dark side, look at your demons. It's all that. I can only say that from the way of how I grew up, and after 38 years right now being on this way, yes, I do think that's the way. Be very aware who are you letting into your circle, and ultimately rely on yourself and maintain your, sorry to say, but it's the heart. Maintain the purity of your intention. It's not that I became numb. No, I just feel there is an additional layer that I can observe about myself. It is painful, but it's okay for right now. For me, I'm really, really happy uncertainty is existing in this world, because I cannot imagine how boring it would be if I would already know with certainty where I'm going to be in 20 years. A certain amount of self-control, a certain amount of discipline. You don't let your emotions run over you. Even if something makes you angry, it's not honorable. It's not respectful to now shout out. You shouldn't do it. Be able to maintain your emotional states, maintain your temper, at least to a certain extent. This is where I would say it comes to self-control. In the Shaolin traditional texts is broken down into 14 different virtues. The virtues of action. What does it mean, virtues of action? It is
How should you behave? Behave in a loyal way. Behave in a trustful way. Behave in a respectful way. Behave in a courageous way. This is the how should you do something. The virtues of mind, for example, they say, what is it that nourishes the way for you to put the virtues of action into practice? How can you learn to behave respectfully? Because naturally, if people like insulting you, you don't behave respectfully towards them. So how can you still behave respectfully, still be loyal to people? How do you do it? And this is where it then comes to the virtues of the mind. To really learn to be patient, to really know what does it mean to be persistent, to persevere during your training.
Yeah. If someone asked you, which religion do you follow, what would your answer be?
I would call it the religion of oneness. The religion of oneness. The religion of, I do believe that we are connected at some way. And it is my journey. I don't want to just intellectualize it. The path is to lay out and remove all the friction and all the obstacles to just realize that it is like this. It depends on the openness of the mind eventually. Everything on the openness of yourself. So if somebody is 50 years old, but he is still open to life. Open to life means you actually realize about yourself that you know nothing about this lifetime. You have 50 years of human life, yeah, but 50 years is 50 years, yeah. So it really depends on how open are you staying throughout your journey in this lifetime. If you always take care of staying open, there is no limit in terms of how much and how much more are you able to develop yourself. The more limited, the more restricted, the more closed you are, the more you think you are perfect, the less you're going to change. Right now, we can sit here. We call this life. We all wish that now we have life. We hope this life is going to be 70, 80, 90, maybe 100 years long. And after these 100 years, then death can come.
Yeah.
Death and life is not a chronology. Who gives you the guarantee? Not right now. No matter how healthy you're living, you get a heart attack right now. Where's the guarantee?
I don't have one. It's one of my fears.
Yeah. Me, I don't have it either. I don't have the guarantee. I don't know every morning if I wake up, death is not coming later. Life and death simultaneously at the same time. So using this type of perspective, success and failure, there is no successful person I know in this world who does not at the same time has success on this side and can prove to me on the other side all of the failures that eventually led to his success.
True.
So what it means is to live in a world where you think that we are living in a world which is about life. It is about light. It is about moving upwards. It is about successful. It is about beautiful. It is about higher, faster, better. This type of propaganda of making the human believe this life is one directional and that you can choose, I think is a misconception. And one day I feel the very hard reality is going to come. And the reality is that this one and this one, losing, failure, letting go, dying, getting sick, it is a part of every human being's lifetime. Now, just looking at the world, what is it that is propagated? Where is all the energy of the human being going? It only goes in this direction because it feels comfortable. Security. Insecurity is nothing. Uncertainty is nothing that you feel comfortable to deal with it. But what I'm saying is this and that, they belong together. There is no way out. And the earlier you start to realize this, the more real your view about this existence, about your life becomes. And what it means is You start to appreciate way more what you have right now instead of running around, starting to chase some things over and over again to afterwards realize you come alone, you go alone. Very simple. We talk a lot about mindset. It's all about mind. This is the essence of the Shaolin practices, not to forget. This is the essence. This is where all of the beautiful forms, the hardening, the fighting aspect of it, where at the end, all of it boils down to the point, how much have you understood about your life during this lifetime that you have available? That is the core. That definition of freedom to do what you want at any time that you want. Just feel free without any type of restriction. I don't think this is the way how a human in this world is learning to grow. There is derived from the ancient teachings a saying, there is no progress, there is no development without restriction. And this means sometimes you need to have somebody telling you what you are supposed to do. Even if you feel like sleeping until like 10, 11 o'clock, well, it's not good to do. It's wake up, do your disciplined structure, and then learn to just do things which are not based on your own sense of comfort. But this sense of comfort is not helpful when it comes to developing yourself. This lifetime is not just about roses and butterflies. Sometimes you are meeting situations that you have to face and that you have to go through, meaning you're going to meet conflict at one or another point. You're going to meet the feeling of having competition. How does all this physicality, all this practicing of using the body translate into your mindset, translate into what type of character are you? Do you have patience? Do you have discipline? Do you have willpower? This is the question. Because when we go to school, there are subjects that we are learning. Mathematics, biology, physics, chemistry. But every human being has something. We have something inside of us. Some people, you would say, they have discipline. Other people, they don't have it. Some people have gratefulness. Other people don't have it. Some people have a natural sense of respect. Other people don't have it. So the question is it coincidence that you are born with respect or that you are born with discipline? Or is these character traits something that need to be and can be developed inside the human being? Because if you are disciplined, you're going to have this discipline because it's part of your character. You're going to carry it on for whatever you are doing. Going to school, going to university, having your first job, building up your own company, doesn't matter what it is. This is that interesting part, what all of these Shaolin practices, what it is about. It is about figuring out what is the core of you as a human being that you can develop, and then afterwards, what you are doing with this core really doesn't matter. Some people make a professional life in sports. Other people make a profession by being an entrepreneur. Other people, they stay employed. Other people build houses. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, along the way of creating something in this lifetime, there are some helpful human character traits or mindsets that I think they need development. And the question is now how to develop them. From my observation and sensing into myself, the more you're used or getting used to something, the more habits actually you are starting to develop. So we humans are beings of habit. The question is, if 20 years long you lived a type of life where there was not a lot of discipline involved, you can still develop it, of course, in the 21st years and onwards. But before that, we have to somehow balance out these 20 years of your habit of being undisciplined. What it means is the older you get, the more habits you already have, the more difficult it will become to change any of them. This is why starting as early as possible is the easiest way to program yourself, condition yourself in the right direction of what type of habits, what type of thinking patterns you would like to develop in yourself.